here. I feel like every time I go live, the first thing you see is me pointing to the side to pull up my screen simultaneously on another screen, and I grab my phone and a bunch of notifications pop up, so I can't pull it up to watch. But we live. Thank you guys for joining in. Waiting for myself to get some more viewers. Get some more viewers. I got one. If you hear me, if you see this, say hi. Say hi. Say what's up. I see I got my boy Fobs is watching with me. Fobs, what's good, baby? Fobs is on last episode. We got some real big things in the work. Me and Fobs too. So you guys stay tuned. Me and Fobs, we got some real big things on the horizon coming, guys. So stay tuned. Me, Fobs, and Jamal, one of the other guys from last week, and another brother, Danny Speaks. We had some really big things coming. Um, but let me do my spiel. I was supposed to play some music. My fault. Uh, welcome, guys. Welcome, guys, to another episode of my brother, where the goal, as always, is to encourage one another, one brother to brother. I am your host, Maurice Rush. You can follow me on Instagram at Rushzilla, as you see right there on the screen. Where's my finger at? Right there. You can follow me at Rushzilla. Um, and thank you guys for tuning in. This week, this episode, I do have a new sponsor. I do have a new sponsor for the month of September at Ready for Relationship Consulting. My good brother AB Bracewell is the sponsor for this month. So I thank my sister Rachel with Creations of Hope for the last 2 months of sponsorship, and I thank AB for sponsoring me for this month of September. And he also is an author. He has just released his second book, maybe last week. So today I will be giving away a copy of his book, Ready for Relationship, which is right here, written by my brother AB Bracewell. I will be giving a copy away of this book at all 3 episodes that I do in the month of September, and I'll also host a giveaway just from my social media pages. So thank you, AB, for sponsoring. You go grab this book, Ready for Relationship. It's an amazing book, the self-growth guide to relationship readiness. I will be giving away a copy of this at the episode to, I don't even know the criteria yet that I'm going to give it away to, but I'm going to say right now, the person who puts the best comments up, you'll get a copy of this. So I don't want to tarry. I see my mommy is watching. I always got to give my mom a shout out because she's like my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. Hey, mom, I love you so much. Thank you for coming in, mama. She's always like one of the first comments too. And she calls me. She's on my back. If I'm not live on time, she will call me at 7:01. Like, where are you at? So I thank you, mother. I love you. Thanks for all your support. Um, and yeah, so today's episode is called. Ooh, I got the wrong episode scrolling at the bottom. I'm sorry, guys. But today's episode is called Surviving Philly. Surviving Philly. Um, Obviously, I'm from Philadelphia, so I titled it Surviving Philly. But this is for anyone who's who lived in the inner city, who grew up in the inner city. This is for you, because Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, I'm trying to fix this episode name. But this is for anyone who grew up in the inner city, who had the pressures of being around violence, being around drugs, being around dope dealing and all of that stuff, um, and was able to avoid that lifestyle. And I just kind of wanted to shine a light because I know that so often we accredit the inner city dwelling with crime, the inner city dwelling with violence, with criminal history and things along those lines. So I brought some brothers who I've known, who I've had a personal relationship with, and I know didn't go down that path, but they did grow up in inner city Philadelphia. And I just kind of want them to give their experience. I want them to talk about their pressures to conform to some of the criminal activity, their pressures, the struggle with staying on the straight and narrow, so to speak, and just the pressures that came with not being into that kind of a lifestyle. So first off, I have my good friend. I've known him since Lord knows how long, man. Um, my good friend, we met at Harrison Elementary School. If you're from Philly, that's now Malachi Elementary, located right there at I think it's at 12th and 10th and Girard, maybe. Yeah, 10th and Poplar, 10th and Thompson, whatever. But I've known him since then. We grew up in North Philly. together. He lived. I was apartment 8B. He was 9C, right above floor. And we have an amazing friendship, man. We have an amazing relationship. We don't hang out every day like we used to when we were kids, but literally whenever I call him, man, we're on the phone for hours and hours on end, man. He has started a new business venture, the Gentleman Bartender. He works for PGW, and of all the titles that he wears and all the responsibilities that he has, and all the hats that he wears, man, I'm really proud to call him friend. I'm really proud to call him brother, man. So I bring on my brother Tyrone Brown. Ty,
Nice
what's
to meet
going
you.
on?
Not much, man. Not much. Not much. Man, listen to that. I feel shit. Thank you. You just uplifted me, man. Thank you. I appreciate all that. I appreciate all that.
Oh man, I'm glad you could come on, bro.
Yes,
Real glad you
absolutely,
could come on,
absolutely. I
man.
wouldn't
I meant
miss it.
all that too. Meant all that too.
Yes. Same here, brother. Same
Right.
here.
Next I have of the three guys on, I've known him for the least amount of time, but when I got hired at my current job, he actually was tasked with training me. And the funny story about that was they were like, hey, can you sit with him? And he was like, I don't know why they got you training me. I'm kind of a C+ student. And, so, but he took me. He kind of taught me the ropes of the job, and we actually have a lot in common. We're both devout Christians. We're both into like games and comics. We can chat about anything, and like I'm older than him, but I feel like he's like my big brother in the job. So whenever I'm going through something at work, I can always talk to him, man. So he also is one of the co-hosts of let me get this right, the Double Tap podcast. I'm going to bring on my friend Gabe Medina, the Static Gorilla, Mad Monkey, whatever screen name he going by. Gabe, what's going on, bro?
What's up, man? Thank you. That was a really great intro. I appreciate your intro. Anyone who's a guest on the show, you're gonna get a really dope intro.
Yes.
That was amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Look at you, man, opening up on the show and everything.
I don't write these intros down, guys. Yeah. So anybody who's come on to me, they come straight from the heart.
I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure to be here. And as soon as you asked me, I instantly said yes. Why not?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that was awesome. It's awesome. I'm glad to have you on. And last but certainly not least, Laura, I don't even know how I met this guy. Like, I don't. Like, I was really thinking about it. I was like, I don't know how we met. I don't know how we became cool. I don't know how we became friends, but it just happened. I couldn't even tell you when. I want to say like maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, but that's a really wide range. But I know we started because me and my friends, we do this wing night where we go out for wings and beers like once a month. And we were doing that. And he started coming wing night. And then next thing you know, we exchanged phone numbers. And then we were in the same group chat together. And then I'm over his house celebrating birthdays and stuff. And same here, man. Like, it's just been an amazing friend. I'm older than him too. I don't know if I look at him as a big brother, but I don't look at him as a little brother either. I do look at him as a brother. I look at him as a friend. Just an amazing dude, man. An awesome dude. South Philly's finest, the IT professional, my bro Adrian Sills. Hey, what's going on, bro? Hey, I really don't know how we met, bro.
It's crazy. I think it was because I went to college with WAP.
Okay.
And so WAP, I guess
WOP, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So WAP introduced us. We started doing a wing night where at some point between, I don't know, man, but we did meet. Apparently we met before. So.
Right. I just know we had a dance off one day at the wing night bar. I won, but we had
of course.
the battle. Oh, did I just mute myself? No, I didn't.
No,
I
you
just hit a button on my headset. I don't even know what it does. I didn't know it was there. But thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for joining us. And thank you guys for being just willing to share your stories. So without further ado, man, I don't really got too much introducing. We're just going to dive right into the discussion. One of you guys could take it by the reins and just talk about your experience growing up in the city.
I guess it was to me it was challenging at first, but then I slowly developed. Like, I think that's when any natural environment that you're in, you slowly develop to mature and evolve into it. You know what I mean? But other than that, like, honestly, from youth until after high school, the end of high school, very challenging.
Well, why was it challenging?
Because I mean, I didn't feel like I was different at the time. Like I was made to feel like I was different. You know what I'm saying? Like people didn't understand like what. Yeah, to me, like nowadays we're gaming and anime, comics, all that is all just a new like it's cool now apparently. Where back in the day, like you was a nerd, you was a weirdo, you was corny, a lame, all that. And liking any of them things, and also being very open-minded and kind-hearted, kind of in a sense, in a hood environment, it was challenging.
Can you elaborate that on more when you say being open-hearted and open-hearted and nice in the hood environment? Can you elaborate on that a little more?
So, as anybody would tell you, like apparently I'm considered a teddy bear to a degree. So I'm a very nice guy. So I'm a very nice guy. I have very good empathy for people. I just take the goodness of people, no matter who you is. I don't care if you hood, whatever it may be. But I also like what I like. I like anime. I like this and that. But from me being this nice guy in the hood where you're supposed to be hard.
Me, is it everybody?
Huh? What you mean? Oh, me. Like,
hey, Richie, you get a little bit lag.
Hey, I hear you clearly. You good?
I think I am. I think I'm getting a little bit of lag. I'm answering for that. If y'all can bear with me.
Cool.
Yeah, but I'll bring it back. But honestly, me, the hood mentality and all that stuff, I never was really into it. I never really got into it, but I was judged. I guess that's what I would say. Judged for not having that hood mentality, and it was like an instant, like softness.
Yeah. And was there ever a cause for like bullying or anything like that?
What you say?
Was there ever a cause for you to be bullied or picked on or anything like that? Okay.
Yes. It was funny. Like I introduced. I used to live on 10th and Cambria. We used to play up and down the street. Everybody knew everybody. I mean that's still sort of, but it wasn't to me at the time when I was young. So me and my mom and us, we had to move to the projects, and literally, I think one of my first days going outside, I tried to introduce myself to a young boy, like be nice and hey, how you doing, whatever. And he socked me, just out of nowhere for some reason. I don't know I don't know why, I don't know whatever, but it just introduced me like, hey, you can't even be nice in this kind of environment. But long story short, it was a hard experience from that. Like just from being being nice or whatever, or being that, not having that hardness in you in the first place or whatever, it made you soft into their eyes. I don't know if anybody want to elaborate on it, but
your mom is watching too, and I love your mom so much. I just want her to know. I really do. I love your mom. I'll share this story later, but she really might have saved my life, and I'll share it later, Mr. Bell. But I'm serious. I really think she saved my life one day, or possibly did. I think I got Adrian back. Let me click Adrian in. Hey, you back?
I'm good, baby.
All right, bet. That's a good one. You got IT guys on because they troubleshoot themselves.
That's what I was about to say. You better have troubleshooting himself.
But Gabe, I think you were about to say something.
Well, I mean, I was gonna touch on that, like considered the weirdo, or for me, it wasn't exactly high school. It was more like elementary school.
Yeah,
it was like I was chunky, so they would have like this nickname. They'd call me Fatty, and like but it was my closest friends. So I was like, I guess I'm sort of cool with my closest friends, and I don't mind that. But I also had like a church upbringing where I was really, when I was growing up, I was really scared to do anything. I was like scared to sin, or like anything would be something wrong. So that's where like I never wanted to like cross that threshold where it was like, I didn't want to offend my mom. I was also like the youngest kid too, the youngest out of 3. Mm-hmm. So like I was, but at the same time, from stories from like my older brothers, and I was never sort of like, maybe sometimes I wasn't ever bothered by it though. But like I would have gotten bullied, but it wasn't more like it it was this elementary school thing, and then I remember just like, I think I was so much of the youngest that when I did turn 13, that I didn't have the youth group that I would have had in my church because we had just left that church. So I do remember like having that sort of mentality of like not wanting to do certain things. So like when it came to like time where I was considered a weirdo was like in freshman year of high school, where somebody was like, I just mentioned to people, they were all talking about Club Shampoo. Ironically, that's kind of where me and Maurice, I think we worked around there. So people would talk about that, and I'm just sitting there in ninth grade, like, I don't go clubbing. And the one girl I remember distinctly was like, "You don't go clubbing?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm 14, 15. Why am I?" And she's like, "I respect that." I was like, "Oh, okay. So I can get cool points too sometimes for being the weirdo." All right. So I was more of a friend to like different cliques, though. I never wanted to conform to one either. So I was still called weird because I was like energetic, like I am now for no reason. So I mean, I don't know if that answers the question or not.
No, that's good.
right.
And A?
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, growing up for me was, you know, I grew up in South Philly, but I grew up on the other side of Broad Street, where it was. I grew up in like heavy Italian neighborhood, you know. So, for a long time, growing up in the city for me was just finding my identity, right, and then finding who I was amongst people who were not like me, essentially just just on a race base, and then being thrown into these schools with people that I didn't know, and then South Philly being such a melting pot, unlike other areas of the city that are mostly segregated, unlike South Philly. And then, I always played the side role. Like my opinions and my feelings on things. I never, I'm not religious, so I never really hung out in the church with the church crowd. I'm a heavy metal guy, so it's not like I didn't grow up. I'm a huge fan of rap music and hip hop and street culture and stuff like that. But growing up, I was more into heavy metal and rock and roll. So, I found my niche there and other things like that. So I always was good at finding the proper circles for myself, the proper people for myself, to keep myself, from going too deep into just seclusion. And I was able to maintain, a pretty good social life. And I always was able to be, communicative and social with people. But whenever I'm casted into the mainstream, into the main lane, the main line, you throw me in the middle of a broad street of society, I'm always going to be uncomfortable, no matter what. And that's just because I'm just not a mainstream guy. My opinions and my thoughts are not very mainstream. Just the way I live my life is not very mainstream. So, it's just kind of how it was. But the city means everything to me. I love the diversity. I love the perspective that it gives. I'm not a country boy. I am a city boy all day. I like the speed and progression of the city. And you throw me outside of that and I get real uncomfortable. I am very unhappy right now in Culpersville.
Adrian actually, he's on a work trip right now. He was able to still make it on, so that's really dope. That he was there. I got a comment right here coming in that says mainstream is overrated, bro.
Oh my God, that's
but I just kind of want to elaborate a little bit more on you guys' experiences growing up. A few of you guys hinted that you were called the weirdo, and I had that experience as well. So for me, it was really always in the games. I wasn't a huge anime guy, but I was a big gamer guy growing up, and I was kind of weird, eccentric. I was eccentric. I was always into like some weird things, but my only caveat, like my saving grace, was like I was okay in sports. So I like to play sports. But so like I could usually fit in with like the popular crowd because I was like I could play basketball and I could play football. But I found that like in high school I hung out with a group of Asians. Like I remember, I never forget my sister, my not my younger, but my youngest sister. She saw me one day, and I went to Parkway. My school was downtown, and she saw me one day at lunch since we got to go out for lunch. And she was like, "Yo, Reese, I saw you downtown, and it looked like you was in Chinatown." Because I hung around with all Asians. So I felt the need to almost kind of suppress my interest. So I grew up in church too, but I didn't talk about it. I was really big into games, like big weird RPG games, but I would only talk about like the Madden or like the 2K, because I didn't want people to know that weird side of me, and I found myself not necessarily doing knucklehead things, but oftentimes like suppressing my intelligence, suppressing that weird side of me, and not necessarily embracing who it is that I was. So I heard you guys all mention, oh, people thought of me as a weirdo. Well, not you, and you embraced it, but the other two. I heard you guys say that. So how did that make you feel when people called you a weirdo?
Exactly what I wanted to elaborate what you said. Like, just when people made me feel like a weirdo, it made me retreat into it. Whereas though I didn't let them, like, it was like I started letting a little bit of myself out. Second that, they started saying, oh, you this, you that. I didn't let it out no more. Like, as far as that, like I would distance myself from them people, or I wouldn't talk about the things I was interested in. Like, you mentioned RPGs. Me and you, we talk about RPGs all day, stuff like that. Or when it came to stuff like that, art, anime, stuff like that, anything like that, anything that's considered weird to other people, if it ain't in that hood mentality, it was like, yo, you have to reclude yourself because you don't want to continue anymore and escalate it anymore. I don't know if I'm the only one that felt that way with that.
I mean,
Xenogears? Sorry.
That's real though, man. I can't come to school like, yeah, man, I just finally beat Xenogears.
Yeah. Like, you can't even say that. Like, it felt, and I ain't gonna lie, like when I actually felt a clique of people that did like it, oh my God, that felt wonderful. Like to actually, like to know, like you can talk to that stuff about people and people understand what you was talking about. It felt good as hell. It's just beautiful. But other than that, anybody that didn't understand it, I wouldn't even talk to them at all. After they brushed me off, it was just done and over.
Yeah, and I can remember like my brother would bring people over the house sometimes, and me hurrying up and turning off Xenogears, or me hurrying up and turning off Final Fantasy before they came in the room, and just kind of acting like I just so happened to have ESPN on because I didn't want people to know that I was interested in those things. Gabe, you were about to say something?
I thought Adrian was, but that's okay. I don't know if Adrian, you had something?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that, I definitely growing up, I was definitely called all types of things, for my weight or being different, and all my interests were always different or just unique to myself. And I think my saving grace was my mother and my father, who, no matter where I was in my life or what I was into, the world, you go outside and the world was always, for so many kids, the world is their escape from their house. But for me, it was the inverse. I would go out into the world and get beat up and bruised, and then come home to my mother, my father, who just, as soon as I walk in the door, like, Adrian, you're the best person in the world. Like, you just, they always filled me with self-confidence to get to the next day, especially my mother, So that's kind of how I dealt with it, going out into the world and being told that I wasn't good enough or that I was this or that, And I remember some teacher telling me one time that I was just a kid that's slipping through the cracks, But I'm like, I was a kid and I didn't know exactly where I was going in life, you know what I mean? But I go home and the home structure, my family structure was enough to keep me from getting too secluded and not understanding that I brought something to the table. And I think that's what's important for people who are not of the mainstream and may be different. You have to understand that you do bring something to the table, and that, just really all comes down to knowing your worth. And then once you do that, you'll find time and you'll figure out over time how to be comfortable in uncomfortable settings.
So I'm going to go on to question 3. I don't know if you guys have your questions posted. But question 3 to you guys was, did you ever feel the pressure to, I guess, dumb yourself down or change your image to conform with some of the street guys? Or anything like that? Like, did you ever feel pressure, like, to say, I'm not going to be this weirdo, or I'm not going to be this nerd, or I'm not going to be this guy. I'm going to try to be this tough guy. I'm going to try to be this gangster. Did you ever feel that pressure?
No.
Well, I mean, let me see.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think until like maybe sort of recent as an adult, so to speak. Because again, I'm the youngest, and then I have like my older brothers are 5 and 6 years older than me. So like I said again, they had their youth group time, and when I was older, it was like, or when I was growing up, I didn't have. I would go to like an after school program, and then even in high school. So it was never like. I'd say now as an adult, it's even that pressure to conform, because it's like, man, oh that's gaming Gabe, that's Gabriel for games, and I'm like, oof, I know, and I know all the stuff, my light up mouse pad, like I know what I have, and I'm just sort of like, I like what I like, but I don't want to, and also like I don't let it even like get in the way of my faith either. But then it's like, am I showing too much of my gaming, or is my personality enough to also show my faith in God? And Maurice, again, we talk at work all the time, but it's like, is it what people choose to see, or is it what I'm projecting? And I'm hoping like I don't want to ever give off the mentality that I'm either too strict either, where I'm like giving off like some sort of like, like I don't like nobody can be goofy around me, or nobody can be themselves around me. I'd rather have that generosity or the ingenuity, or somebody genuine around me when I'm doing that. So I would never, but I did feel the pressure, I would say, because of that, because like maybe I should be more strict, maybe I should be more, I don't know, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you got a comment from my mama. My mama said, "I love your faith in God, Gabriel."
Thank you, thank you, Miss Rush.
I mean, I'll go. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ty. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead, bro.
I never dumb myself down. I mean, I feel like I have to do that every day when I talk to people. But as far as changing my image is I grew up as a gothic kid, right? With chains and shopping at Hot Topic before it was a bubblegum store, and I was always so I mean, people would call me all types of things, tell me I was gay and this and that, even though I had girlfriends out the wazoo. I don't know why they would say that, but people would always come at me for the way I looked or the way I decided to dress and the way I lived my life, but like I said, I found my resolve and just being who I'm myself, and like I said, just being able to being really good at finding like-minded people who like what I like, and then just being free with myself, and that's how I've developed good friendships. And so I did feel like I had to dumb myself down or feel pressure to do it, but I didn't. And to change who I was never going to change my image, because it was too much of who I was. So. But it made me feel, because the last part of your question is how did it make you feel? It made me feel sad, and I had kind of at some point kind of lost faith in like people. But as you get older, you realize that the people you come, it's always a small minority of people, and that the overall majority, you'll be just fine. So
right.
Yeah, my whole thing was, it was more of a you got to grow up thing. That's what it was for me. Like everything once, and like which one Gabriel was saying, where I didn't feel it until I started getting into from the teen to adulthood, where they wanted me to be harder, or they wanted me to be more of a man and all this other stuff. So the things I was doing considered was kiddie, as far as that, liking them things that I liked or doing the things that I did. So my uncles tried. They I actually had it was funny. I had something with my uncles where they tried to make me more manly, like they was trying to say if somebody come at you, yada. They kept hitting me in the chest, like, "Yo, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it?" Oh shit, and whatever. Or even in adulthood, where I would tell people about like things I like, and they would say, "Oh, you a kid or something?" Like stuff like that. So conforming, I didn't conform from childhood to but from teen to adulthood. Sort of conformed, I guess, whereas though I learned to evolve with it, whereas though I feel as though I didn't have to change I didn't have to change myself. That was one thing I never had to do. As far as that, I just say, what, I don't care what y'all think, whatever, as far as that, but I did conform to it, like, what, not everything for everybody, I'll just keep staying in my lane, and you do you, as far as that. But yeah, the hood, I mean, I got hood tendencies, but
Yeah.
yeah, I got hood tendencies. You can't change the hood tendencies living in the hood, but but I've never conformed to. I mean, like I never conformed per se to it. I just evolved with it.
So that's we're gonna dig into that too. Like that, I still got hood tendencies. Then later, I promise y'all we gonna get to that.
Yeah, that's a good one right there.
What I want to talk about is Ty, you said something about when you said them punched you in the chest and saying you gotta be able to eat those, you gotta toughen them up. And part of the question was like people associate, I guess, like because you're into gaming or because you're into anime, they kind of associate that with you being soft, like you're not a tough guy because I'd rather play Super Mario than sit on the corner and be a trap boy or something like that. So they do things to almost kind of test you, and that's where that whole I still have hood tendencies because like you have the same experiences if you grew up in the hood and weren't in the street. Like you still went to bed to gunshots. You still heard Gabe. You just called me earlier today and said that you heard like a whole like domestic situation right outside your window. Right after I hung up with you, Gabe, I went to the store to get food, and this woman, high out of her mind, walked up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, I just need help right now." And I said, "How can I help you?" And she stared at me, cursed at me, and turned around and walked away. So you still have these experiences, even if you're not into that lifestyle, but for whatever reason, people associate you with being soft, right? And not being this tough guy. And I think that for me, that's where the need to conform came in at. Because I was like, well, dang, if I'm this gamer who likes to watch cartoons and, who likes to play Xenogears or Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts or whatever, they're going to think I'm soft. Then I need to hide that because I don't want people to associate me with being soft because I know what it's like to go to bed to gunshots. And Miss Janelle, I know you asked what that story was that you might have saved my life. Here's the story, guys. This is the real story. I think I was outside with Tyrone and his twin brother playing, and we grew up in Richard Island, right across the street from Richard Island, and they started shooting. I didn't know where the gunshots was coming at. We lived in a high rise across the street, so like 8-year-old, 7-year-old me takes off to home, which was across the street. And Tyrone's mom opened the door and she said, "Maurice, where you going?" And I'm like, "Home," because she was like, "No, don't go home. They shooting. Come in here." And she pulled me into her house. She called my mom and let her know that let my mom know that she had me and that I was safe. And she might have saved my life. I don't know where the bullets was coming from. I don't know where they were shooting from. But that's a real experience that I had at 7 or 8-year-old. That's a traumatizing experience.
Yeah.
So for someone to look at me at 13, 14 years old and say, "Oh, you're soft because you like to play video games." How about when I was playing outside, they started shooting and I could have died for being outside. Like I could have died. Like that's true. So if you're associating that with soft, naturally, I think, okay, suppress that side of me. Let them see the side that has the same experiences as you. That I can climb a gate in less than 10 seconds. Like I know how to do that. I know how to play chase. I know how to play basketball. Like I'll show you all these things that I see, I guess the popular guys, so to speak, around the neighborhood do, but I'm not going to show you who I really am. And real me is this guy. Like this is me. Like it's me. Like this is my baby right here. That's the real me. Right. Because if I show you this side, then you're going to think I'm soft. And you weren't out there when they were shooting. Like you didn't have to go. Like I had to go to bed to the same gunshots as you. I played fireworks or gunshot too, and I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. So when I heard you guys mention some of those things, that's what came to mind for me. Like, yeah, I felt the need to conform myself because I didn't want people to think I was soft. Like, bro, I done lived through the same stuff as you. Honestly, I sound like you. Like I still like at the time I wasn't able to change. Talk proper and talk improper. I ain't gonna say talk white because back then they called it talking white, and that's really disrespectful to black people. But that's for another episode. But back then, like I only knew how to talk one way. So like I sound like you, I look like you, I live where you are. But you think I'm soft because I'd rather do this than go outside and sit on the corner with you. And no, so I'm gonna hide that aspect. I'm gonna hide that weirdo aspect of me, and I'm going to try my best to confirm. I'm going to try my best to walk with you and sound like you and act like you because I feel like that's the only way that you'll take me seriously and won't view me as this soft individual.
I I got something to say about that.
Soliloquy or something.
I'm gonna put my story out there. So it's funny. Me and my mom and us, we just moved to 18 CCB more. I was still nerd, all that stuff. People would call me this thing called a blade, apparently, which meant gay back in the day. Apparently. Whatever. So one day, I'm not gonna say who it was, whatever, because I know the boy that did it. I was walking to my aunt's house. My aunt lived right around the corner. And I'm walking there. I see this boy come up. He was talking to me and all that. He was like, yo, I got this and that. He pulled the gun out on me. Pulled the gun out on me, showed me, rabies on my face and all that. I'm thinking, and I didn't realize the boy probably was trying to rob me at the time, but because I knew him, like I knew who he was. But since apparently I looked at it soft around the way, that's what I don't know what could have happened at that moment. But I ended up just like fleeing and like, yo, whatever, you tripping, whatever. And I kept walking to my aunt's house and I just completely ignored it. Like at the time, like I'm thinking, there ain't no way he gonna rob me. Like I know him, he knows me. So, but now as an adult, I'm thinking about like, yeah, that dude really pulling a gun at me, he really tried to rob me. Like, and this was the dude that thought I was soft because of the stuff I was into. Like, yo, I can't believe that. Like, just when you saying about that, and I know you don't. Do you remember the boy that got? It was back in the projects. They was playing basketball. He got shot over playing the basketball. I think he was arguing over it, and he got shot. That was one of them experiences in the projects. Like, and they think that we don't go through these things or whatever. I don't know why they think these things. But yo, we go through the same things y'all go through in the hood. Everything. Crackhead aunts, crackhead uncles. Right. And my aunt just asked me for money. She crackhead. I remember how this lady used to be able to sing all that stuff, and she just on the street asked me for money. Looked like a pale image of herself. And these are the things that we go through in the hood, and y'all just want to make it even harder on guys like us because we're different. That makes no sense to me. That's what I don't get. You would think you want to bring us all together, even though we are different. That's just I don't get it.
That's good. When do you guys want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on the other side of South Philly, so it was a long time before I got introduced to my own culture, right? Like I was outside. I was like a man with no country for a long time, and it took me a long time to be comfortable around my own people. Because growing up, because when you're from South Philly, from the part I'm closer to 2th Street than I am 22nd and Morris. Right? So when you grow up there, all you really have to go North Philly basically is as close and as far as Africa. When you're in South Philly, it really is like a border town. Like you don't go outside of South Philly. I didn't go outside of South Philly for real. So I was like 20. You know what I mean? And we just consider Center City a part of South Philly because that's how we look at it. And so when I started doing some outside work, you guys know my other businesses and stuff, is like I had to start going into these neighborhoods and dealing with people, and I started to realize, like, you know, these people I am the same as these people. And then when I was in high school, right before I went to high school, I went to Waukesha Elementary, which was an all-black middle school, which I had never. I'll be honest, I ain't never been around that many black people in my life. So, and I walked into that joint, and there was a stark difference between the way I live my life, being an anime kid, gothic kid, rock and roll kid, you know, to run. But I made friends with people who were from 22nd and Diamond. You know what I mean? Which, you know, back in the mid 2000s, 22nd and Diamond was Diamond World. Like, you know what that place was.
Yeah, that's down the street from me. So
yeah, so like, having friends from other places, I got to finally experience my own culture in a certain way. And then, you know, to be honest, you know, about the darker aspects of our culture, but there's so much beauty in it too. So I just want to, you know, there are a lot of terrible things that happen out there and that you experience, but you know, there's more that goes with it as well, you know.
And I had that culture shock when I got to Temple, man. I had never been around that many white people. So they advertise Temple as the most diverse school in the country. So you get there like, oh, this is the most diverse school ever. And then like you realize that diversity really doesn't mean like there's a bunch of black people. It just realize there's a bunch of different races. And you get in those classrooms and it's still 25 white people and 3 black people.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember like being there, and I was smart in high school, and I got to like college, and people would talk, and they would talk about their experiences, and I would just sit there like, I've never been around in a predominantly white environment, so I haven't had it with black people. But like, I just remember my college orientation. I'm rooming with these 3 other white guys. It's me and 3 white guys as my roommates, and none of them brought soap. So I was already like, why don't none of y'all got soap?
Please tell me they had rags. Please tell me they had washcloths.
I bought body wash. So they all use my body wash. I don't know if they,
they
had wash racks, right? But like none of them had soap. So that already disturbed me. Then like we were in there talking. So the one guy was like, so how much pot do you guys smoke on a day-to-day basis? And I'm like, that's like your icebreaker question? Like that's what you bring in the ice with me, bro? Like really? Like this is like you're the suburban dude. Like I'm the one from down the street. Like you're the one that grew up in the suburbs. Like why are you and like shouldn't I be initiating this conversation? And then you sit there and literally at Temple's orientation, they say right where I grew up at. Like if you're from Philly, you know where Temple is. Like not where I grew up, but like when we moved from Richard Island, we moved to 11th and Norris. And they were like, stay away from that area. It's a rough neighborhood. Like, you don't want to venture down that path. And I'm like, bro, I've been living here for the last decade. And you're telling
First
people,
off,
like,
you seen it now? Yo,
like,
that joint is gentrified.
Like, I'm like, yo, I've been living there. Like, how can you announce that? Like, I had a teacher in college, my accounting teacher, and he will always crack jokes. And I remember one time he was like, yeah, man, that's dumber than the kids from the Philly school district. And I'm sitting in this class like, I'm a kid from the Philly school district. Like, I went to the Philly school district, and like, you're literally making me the laughing stock. You're perpetuating these stereotypes that people from 11th and Norris are going to rob you. You're perpetuating the stereotype that everyone in the Philly school district is not smart. Like that's not okay.
Yeah,
it's not okay at all. I feel like I kind of deviated from the subject, but that's okay because I think this is heavy.
That's when the hood mentality would have came out. I'm sorry. Like, that hood mentality would have came out on him.
No, that's a good point because like you think about it, and it's like, well, dang, if I go hood mentality, then I feel like I set my race back 20 years. And you don't want to do that. Like, you don't. And it's like, dang, I could let it out. But if I let it out, that's what they expect me to do. And I can't give them what they expect me to do. Like, I have to. Like, I have to be,
I'm sorry. I'm all about indulging the budgets.
Gabe, I don't know what your experience was like up there at Holy Family, but
oh goodness, I would say 5th Street, and people would look at me like, "What are you talking about? Like, are you serious?" Like, I'm from like 5th Street. So speaking of actually 5th Street, I really wanted to share a story. Like, so out of high school, I would always walk to my mom's job, which is like a block or 2 away, after school program, community service, all of that. But I did that for almost all 4 years until I got my license. I was able to drive home. That was senior year. But thing is, I was walking once, and there was this kid from the neighborhood. And the thing is, that's my brother, by the way. Shout out to Mad Monkey. Go follow his artwork.
Okay.
So yeah, so the thing is, I was actually walking to that job, or to my mom's job, and the thing is, there was 2 kids. One kid, he's known in the neighborhood. He had like one arm. Unfortunately, I believe it was like a situation with his dad when he was younger, that his arm he had lost his arm as a child. But I remember he was like the bully in the neighborhood. He was known in the neighborhood. And I saw him and somebody else. Like, he had, I guess, in the sleeve of the one that doesn't have his arm, he was somehow holding a bat. And I remember the girl that I knew was like a couple paces ahead of me, and I'm like, I should probably speed up because I see them like, threatening people. And he goes ahead and, I get to him. They didn't do anything to her, but I get to him, and he sort of swings it at me, but stops right in front of me. And I had to stop what I was doing. And I was like, all right, cool. And I just kept walking. Thing is, like, I didn't get a good look at the second kid, but I knew he was taller. Thing is, a couple years later, now he was known in the neighborhood for being a troublemaker. I even remember seeing him on the Fox News, and he was trying to be like he was like training to be a boxer, and they had this whole story about him and everything going on. And I'm like, Mom, Dad, that's the kid that's terrorizing your job, Mom. So then coming years later, I'm good friends with one of my friends from the neighborhood. I was actually working at that same place. He was a volunteer, and I sort of took him under my wing, and we sort of played like I took him to tournaments, like video game tournaments, stuff like fighting game tournaments and all. So like I would take him places and things, and I sort of like I don't want to say like I took credit for taking him out of like now I'm this is all gonna sort of coincide, but I sort of helped him to just know around the world. Like we traveled to like North Carolina and all that together. So I take that friend away. About 2 years ago, he calls me and says, "Yo, man, one of my good friends died." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, he was actually had no arm." And I'm like, what happened? He was like, "Yeah, he was actually shot in the street, like really close to where my job is. Like or that job, that same job, that place, that same area." And I'm just like, "Yo, like I wonder if my friend was the one that was with him that was, swinging the bat at me." And I'm just like, this whole time, like if he were to take advantage of those resources that were there at that after school program or at that place or something, like what sort of path was my friend on that they sort of parted ways. And I just, it was really scary. And a thought like I was that close to that. And this kid, like who had a sad story from the past, was training up to be a boxer or something, had to go out that way. And it was just like, I'm glad I helped save my friend, but like, I wish maybe I should have befriended him or something. Maybe somebody could have been there for him. And it stinks. But I mean, I was the I had glasses. I was the easy kid on the street to try to swing at, but that's, sometimes these are unfortunate. And I'm glad I was able to help my friend out. He's a nerd. He's getting married. He's got a kid on the way too. So it's ridiculous. But, I think, yeah, I'm rambling now.
But no, that's real. I think that's kind of to the point that Ty was making. Like we all have these experiences, right? But because we never slung dope or because we, didn't get into like an actual shootout, it's like, oh well, you're soft or you were sheltered or you were privileged or whatever the case. I get all the time like from people that just say, oh, you must have grew up in the suburbs. To me, like. Yeah. And I really used to be offended by that. Like when people would say it, like, how dare you tell me that I grew up in the suburbs? Like, how dare you? And then I had to realize, like, and I think with maturity it came that that's a huge compliment that I could come from the area that I came from. And at 32 years old, have people not even know that I grew up in the projects. I think that that's a huge compliment now. But in my 20s now, I used to be offended when people said that to me. And that's a good segue into my next question for you guys, which was, how do people respond to your current mannerisms upon finding out where you're from?
Go ahead, Ty. You got
it. How people respond, I don't really share that until like I get to know you. Like to a degree, like it all depends. Like if you ask me whatever, I'm cool with talking to you about it. But honestly, I mean, I just keep it. That's evolving. Like I guess that's what it is. I don't really share that side of me with people. Like as far as like the gaming or the anime, as far as that, or the things they consider nerdisms, especially in my adulthood. I don't. It's never really a topic. Nobody really actually hit me up on my mannerisms. They just think I speak well. That's all. You think I speak well? That's why I was going to elaborate what you just said. Like people think I speak well, or you're very proper toned, or stuff like that. Yeah, I don't really share it too much unless it's actually brought out. Excuse me for a second. Go ahead.
I think it's funny how when I'm around people from the suburbs or white people or a lot of times I have to remind, I'm like, listen, because they always want to talk to me about Philly and the city and things like that, and I have to remind them, you don't understand, I am not a hood dude. Like I am a black man, but when we have these conversations about life or race, you have to understand I am not a hood dude. And if you were talking to a hood dude, you would see the stark difference. And the way that people can communicate over times. And then, when I'm around my people, when I'm around black people that I've never met before, they go, boy, where you from? Because you ain't from North Philly. And I go, no, I'm not.
There ain't nothing wrong with North Philly. You ain't gonna talk about North. Talk
Yo,
about
North is where it's at. I'm sorry.
I love North Philly be popping. I be up there, you know, Venango, 17th of Venango, all that stuff. You know, I like it up there. My girl from North Philly, even though she don't claim it, she from North as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, blasphemy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, the people usually, depending on where they're from, is usually how they respond to me. People from the suburbs think I'm like the speaker of all black people. I'm like, yo, I'm not even from the hood. You know, and black people be like, they be asking me what white people think, because they be like, yeah, you know them better than me. So it is what it is, yo. I'll just be in the middle. I'll play the side. You know, I'm always to the side. You know?
Gabe.
So yeah, I get this a lot. Sort of like, it's a hold on. Now I got to read what my brother says. No, so I think, God, now I just lost my train of thought. So how do people respond to your current matter of everything? So like,
I like your brother, by the way. Just want to let you know that.
Right? No, I love him.
Your brother, yo, he become
Jeez, just come on in.
Yo,
No.
he doing his thing with the commentary. I see him.
Oh my goodness. So like, how do you respond to your current mannerism? So like, I get this a lot, where it's like, oh, where do you get some of your like your words from? Like I remember, okay, so in my new church, I had a friend of mine who's really from the hood, and I'm like, dude, I love the way you talk. I love your vocab, because I love the way how he's from the street, and like he'll talk about out of pocket and everything, and he says the same thing about me. He's like, I love the way you talk, because sometimes I don't even understand what you're saying, but I just want to know more about what you're saying, and like we would have those conversations. So I would understand his hood talk, he would understand mine, like my Holy Family, Esperanza, high school, whatever, you know, just my manners and things. And like I tell people, like I don't have like the natural like Philly accent, because I'm like, I think I just got my accent from my dad, who's from Jersey. So it's just like, I don't know, I just get that Jersey accent. Maybe that's the accent that I have or anything. But like I never, I mean, how do I say? I do have like different mannerisms. Hold on. I have just a thing. A lot of it probably came from this movie right here, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Like,
like,
okay.
Because the thing was, the thing is, I hang out with people, right? And I was, what is it? I hang out with people. People are like, "Why, Gabe? Why are you so this? Why are you so that?" And then I saw the movie with a couple of my friends, and I'm like, I sound like a lot of this movie. And then like, but then it's just hilarious. But like, I don't know. I don't mind it. Like if people come at it, I'm just like, you're gonna have to deal with what it is, with what I have and what I'm gonna bring. But I hope that you can understand what I'm gonna talk about. And I keep messing up the word. How genuine I'll try to be.
Yeah, and that's real. And I do think that and with maturity comes. I've seen it in a bunch of comments. A lot of people have said the same thing. Like you got to be comfortable with who you are, and I think that comes with maturity. Yeah. And it's because in general, high school students of all economical or demographic backgrounds have that desire to fit in. And if you don't feel like you fit in, you almost feel pressure to conform. But I think as you get older and you're like, I don't care. It just so happens that it comes earlier for some people. Like Adrian, you know, it happened a little earlier for you. And for some people, it comes later on in life where you just like, look, screw it. This is me. You know, I like to play games. I prefer to play games rather than go out. I tell people all the time I live under a rock because I don't listen to music or nothing like that. And like, this is me. And it just takes being comfortable with yourself. Go ahead, Tom.
I wanted to elaborate with you because all right. What you were saying exactly what I feel. Like with people I'm just getting to know, I don't really share that stuff. But like if you are interested in me, I share that. I share all that with you. You know, as far as that, because it's like that. I'm an adult now. Why do I care? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like more or less if I see that you are not like you're gonna be in my life or whatever, but I don't even care, like I don't need to share that with you. But if it's somebody that's invested or whatever that invested in you, I'm gonna share myself. I'm gonna share everything I need to be, or you know, I'm into these kind of things. I'm into the gaming and all that stuff as far as that.
Yeah, man.
So,
dating is challenging for me because, like, you know, when you're getting to know people and they're like, "Oh, well, what's your favorite music? Who's your favorite artist?" And I'm just sitting there like,
In the end,
right?
No.
I'm like,
man.
is Super Mario Brothers an artist? like,
Yeah.
like, because I was thinking an artist. No,
You ever heard of Undertale? No.
right?
The theme song of Bleach. Oh my god!
It's funny you bring up dating, bro, because like growing up, you know, God kid and all that stuff. Like I've dated rock and roll chicks, white girls, and all that stuff. But I'll be honest with you, yo. My favorite, I'm so attracted to like black women from like just black women, dog.
Hey,
Like,
shout out to the black woman. We love you.
like my girl black as hell, man. She got the whole North Philly accent going. She got the hair, bob, all that. I guess
Yo,
it's the whole opposite of me. That don't, I love the attitude behind it. I love the confidence behind it. Like I'll just be quiet. I'll just listen to you, let you do your thing. I just you know, it's funny you brought up dating.
yo, I'm gonna say what I gotta say something with that. Like it's crazy. I'm so attracted to that type of hood mentality chick, yo. I don't know what it is. My baby mom, yo, my baby mom was on this type time, yo. She hood. And I'm attracted to hood. Yo, if a chick got, it's like an aphrodisiac to me. I don't know what it is. Yo, it's like, yo, oh my God, I love you. Go ahead, keep talking. John, what? Oh, all right.
Bro, you just sit there and just shut up, man.
Yeah. Yo, I love the hood mentality chicks. I'm sorry, I don't know what. And then they start really talking, and you be like, oh.
Slow down.
Some of them, not all.
Yeah.
Not all.
I'm
So
not that guy.
I was gonna actually.
Go ahead. Jake.
I want to elaborate on what Marie said about the you know, I'd actually rather be out because then, like, you know, let's say I'm playing a ranked match in a fighting game or something, and then in between matches you're always looking at your phone. So I'll look at my phone, I'm like, man, what are these people doing? Like, why are people doing stuff? And I'm sitting here playing. I'd rather be one of those that are out and doing stuff. So like when I get in my own head, I like write something down and I'm like, yo, like I'll write like a status out. Like I really wanted to be like, I would really rather be out. Like, where's my invite or something like that? And then I put myself into this world of, man, maybe they're thinking Gabe's good. Gabe's at home. Gabe's doing fine. Gabe's at home. He's hanging out with his friends and he's cool, or he's hanging out with his games and he's cool hanging out with his games. And I'm like, I don't know if people have that mentality. That's probably my mind putting myself there, but it's like, yo, I'm able to be invited, right? Like it's really something that sometimes, like, I wonder if something's wrong sometimes, and that's just like, it just happens like that sometimes. I don't know how to explain it.
Can I say something on that? So, like for me, like I'm a bartender now. I do bartending. That's my other trait, gentleman bartender. Ty, if you want to hit me up. But
It'll be confident, bro. I'm gonna give you
anyways. So bartending has given me such a social life. It has been ridiculous. Like to the point where you saying like you want to be the one to hit up, people are hitting me up now. Like I used to be the introvert. I still sort of am an introvert to myself, but people are hitting me up like when I post what I do or what I am, they be like, yo, where you at? What you doing? And stuff like that. And it's crazy now. Like now that I put myself in that social environment, that it has made me even more popular, if it makes sense. Like if you put I'm only gonna say just my personal experience. If you put yourself out there, like without anybody else, yo, you will gain all that. Like people gonna start inviting you places. People gonna start doing stuff. I went to a fucking mansion party. I'm sorry, curse. I went to a mansion party, and I didn't even. They invited me. I was cool just from the clout of me being more social with myself, opposed to other people inviting me out. And that's another thing that comes with the stigma of what we are, like as far as who we are. They feel as though we're just complete introvert, that we're not made to be fun. I guess that's what it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, before COVID, I was spontaneous, you know. So now it's like spontaneous. I'm spontaneous, but only 2 weeks ahead of time. You know? Yeah, I'll hang out with you. You stay home for 2 weeks. I'll hang out. That's cool.
Real quick, Janelle, Ty's mom asked the question. You guys mentioned the hood mentality chick, and I also want to know, what's a hood mentality chick? So
I mean,
So,
got that because I'm learning here.
oh, hey, can I take this? Can I take this?
ready to go.
Oh my God, hood mentality chick. You can tell when oh my God, when she started talking a certain way, she got that accent. I guess that's what it is to me. The
Yeah.
accent, the mannerisms to know that, this chick will punch you in your mouth probably or something. Not me. I'm saying like she'll probably defend your ass or something. I don't know. It's like the hood mentality chick is like, what you think of the hood is like, she hard with it. Like she quick with the fucking with the mouth. Like she ain't taking no shit from you. She ain't taking nothing from nobody.
Yeah.
She gonna say what she gotta say. If you don't like it, say la vie. If you want to do something about it, we can do something about it. I don't know.
I'm not a fan of that kind of woman.
I
know
don't like
black
that
woman.
kind of woman. I'm not saying on a negative as like she can't turn it off. I'm saying like there are women, a woman can turn that off.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about like them other chicks that's like on a bad B mentality or anything. I'm talking about a real woman that, she could be graceful and all that stuff. We could, like us, like we are like in a sense nerds, in a sense, what they call us nerds. But at the end of the day, let somebody try us. They ain't gonna try us. Like, we gonna go at them. Like we gonna let that hood mentality out.
I think what I'm trying to say, or what you're trying to say, is that it's part of like just being like, as we're all like more like we work outside, so it's like we question ourselves at times, you know what I mean? And like for me, my girlfriend has taught me to stop questioning myself and to be okay with, if I feel this way, then that's the way I feel. And when we first got together, like my girl a hood chick, and even if she don't know it, she definitely hood. And she'd be like, when we first got together, she would always say, Adrian, just tell me what you're saying, just be about what you want and stop, dancing around the subject. And to me, a hood mentality chick is it's not like negative. What it means is that the hood is a place where if you're going to go to this spot, if you're going to do this thing, there's a chance of, there's always a chance of danger in the hood because it's just the lifestyle. So once you make that decision, you got to make that decision, and people will always press you and test you in those environments. So she came from that type of environment, and she brought, and for me, being someone who was more, I couldn't make a decision in my life. She said she would bring me in to how to make a decision and how to act and how to just be about, and just the confidence that she brings to the table. So that's what I like about chicks that might be from the hood or whatever. It's just their confidence to be, themselves all the way. You know what I mean? Whatever hair they want to wear, however they want to dress, whatever they got to say. I mean, always there's a time and a place, but for the most part, I'm just attracted to that confidence.
You articulated that so well.
Okay, and I think I get a little more. Yeah. I will say I understand a little bit more after you guys explained it, where it's like, I think I always use the phrase down to earth. That's usually my phrase of what I look like, what I ask for, which is someone who is just aware of like real life. Because I feel like some people aren't aware of like real struggle. Like, I mean, like if you think of some of the racial tensions right now, part of the reason that we're having so many racial tensions is because there are white people who just don't believe that black people are really living this life. And when you try to, as hard as you try to explain it to them, I say, yo, if I get pulled over by a cop, I'm nervous. That's not their reality, so it doesn't exist. And that's part of the reason that we're having these racial tensions. But
I think that for years, pretty much the entire existence, ever since we were free, or whatever, once we freed ourselves, but let me correct myself, when we freed ourselves, Black suffering has always been treated by the majority culture as some sort of conspiracy theory, right? And that's where the disconnect comes from. They always tell you that they need more evidence, or this could be that. They treat it like a conspiracy theory, so that's why you can't explain it to them, because they think it's it's you over crop circles.
But when you guys said the hood mentality girl, that's kind of where I thought of, like, there are some women who don't understand male struggle because they've never seen it or they've never witnessed it. Gabe, I think you got something.
Yeah, so I was gonna say about like my church is somewhat in the hood. So like I went from like an older, like a church where there was a lot of older people to
Mhm.
one that was like hood, where actually I went to high school, like right around the area. So I knew like sort of the mentality of what was going to be there. So hood mentality, I think, is more like, for when I think about it, is like street smart. Like
Mm.
they're street smart, but also like, you know, they can hold it.
Confident.
They can like what Ty said. I like that. It was like they can be a woman, like somebody who can also like put me in check, so to speak. But
Yeah.
like never like but never
Never
like
trying to
ratchet, I
fight
guess
you.
you would say.
Right.
Like never scratch my eye out, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but scratch my eye out if I'm doing bad. You
No,
know?
it never has to get physical. It never has to get physical.
Right.
That's a
right.
whole different
They can
thing.
just be like, they'll say a word, and you're in the back of your head. Oh my god, they got me. Like,
All right, guys. For the sake of time, I'm gonna skip to the last question, and then I'll let you guys give your
Alright.
plugs and get out of here. So my last question, as always, for anyone watching, it's always give advice to a child or a parent trying not to come to inner city pressures. So, what advice would you give to someone who's in the hood that is a little bit weird or a little bit eccentric, and they're trying not to succumb to the pressures? Because, like it or not, and I'm sure that we all have friends that we went to elementary school with who was like right there with us, but at some point in life, they went down this road and you stayed on this road. So, what advice would you give to a child that's going through that, or a parent of a child who's going through that?
Be yourself. That's
Mm.
number one. Number one, be yourself. Don't let nobody deter you from what you like. But I will also say, don't be. And I was actually thinking about this, like what did I say? And I still can't find a freaking word.
That's good censorship, Ty.
Yeah, I'm very real censored right now. Don't be soft, as I would say. I'm sorry I gotta say the word soft, but it's like don't let nobody belittle you. That's what I would say. If you like what you like, that's what you like. That's all it is too. Don't let them belittle you. And defend what you actually like. That's what I would say. That's the roles of being a real person and a real adult. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's good.
yeah. So as a kid, again, I didn't have like the certain like youth group, and like I had to find my own friends in high school. But then again, I had that sort of thing to do after school, which was an after school or some type of program type thing. I was blessed to have that, and not everybody even has that or has like a whole actual family at home. So I think what happened with us was we actually moved from like North Philly only out farther, but it wasn't like, it was still in Philly, but it's not like out too far. But I mean, I think getting to move, I actually agree with Mama Rush, is that she said to move when possible, if possible. And I think if it's not possible, because that's the reality for some people sometimes, is that try to make. I think I would say my parents made an ultimate sacrifice, I guess, for us, and I think that sort of sacrifice can go many ways. Again, I was in high school; I had a place to go. I think finding a way for or even, it's sort of like, I think the magic of finding the spot where to let a child sort of like fly, but at the same time, you got to make sure that you can lead the way for them where that is. So for me, again, I was going to the place, I was getting rides home. I would go to my mom's job, rides right home. And I would go online, and I wouldn't play with too many people. It was just like Ragnarok Online. I don't know if you guys ever played that, Ragnarok.
I
Yeah, I heard
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, so like,
Talk about
but it's like you don't have to like conform your child to be like the nerd or anything, but maybe try to find them the sort of I guess social place where they can be at, or even like some type of youth group. If it's going to be a youth group through Zoom, try that. Like, try something to keep them occupied with like-minded people. And now I would say, because I'm from church, probably try to enroll into a church or something, or go to a church or something, have them in a church. But I mean, it doesn't have to be just a church. It can be anything that sort of has that sort of mentality, or even encourage them to find something that that is interested. I'm sure a parent knows what their child is interested in. They're buying whatever it is for them, and try to find that other child in the school that might even be interested. There's so many avenues for that to happen. My nephew doesn't stop talking about how he's going to play games with all his friends after he's done his Zoom classes. So it's really a hard thing, but I think for any child that's trying to get out there, just like you said, be yourself. Don't be scared to be yourself. Be who you are. Be who you want to be when you grow up. Think about who you want to be in 3 to 5 years.
The advice I could give is advice, not a resolution. It's just to the parents, you pay attention to your children. Your children are never going to walk up to you and say, "Mommy, Daddy, I can't wait to stand. I want to go out on 19th of Venango and sling this rock." Like, they're not going to do that. The kids not going to do that. If you pay attention to your children and invest time into your children, they, for the most part, they'll turn out okay. When you talk to people who ended up in unfortunate circumstances, unfortunate situations, a lot of times when you start to really extrapolate what the data, you just find out that at some point somebody didn't invest time and effort into it. So pay attention to what the kids like to do. And if no one else is doing it with them, you do it with them. I mean, the ultimate sacrifice about being a parent is really time. You know what I mean? And if you truly give your children time and effort and love, they'll be just fine. You can't love somebody, give them time and effort and resources, and they turn out to be a fuck up. Like, it don't work. It don't work that way. Sometimes it works that way. Most of the time, it don't work that way.
No, that's right.
So my best advice for parents would be pay attention to your children and be active in your children's life. And for the kids, just be confident. Just confident and understand.
Yes.
Understand that what you feel right now, whatever you're going through right now, is only temporary. And in 15 years, this stuff will feel like nothing to you.
Right.
You won't even have the same problems. So you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Hey,
I just
you
want
were
to
the most adult.
Me? I am.
Yes. Oh my God, I love it. Yo, everything you said, you just taught me, bro. You just taught me. I'm sorry.
Taking notes.
Oh my God.
I'm fraudulent.
Woo! I want to clap for you, brother. I want to clap for you.
I
Woo, that was good.
want to piggyback off of what Adrian said, where I think that sometimes we live vicariously through our children, where, okay, I wasn't able to make it to the NBA, so I'm going to force my child to play basketball. Or, I didn't make it in this area, so I'm going to force my child to do it. And I think early on in life, you can put your child in a bunch of different things to kind of see what their interest is. So I don't think if you like something until you experience it. But once they hit that age where they're gravitating towards something, embrace it, support them. So if they hit an age where they're gravitating towards the video game, like, video games now are not like how they were back then. You can chat with your friends and spend time with your friends on the video game. You can stream. You can make money streaming.
College classes.
Like,
What?
They're talking about, by the time your children, if you have like an 8-year-old now, by the time they get college age, there may be scholarships for e-gaming, for e-sports available. They're building a stadium here in Philadelphia. So whatever it is that that your child is interested in, there's an avenue to embrace that, to support them with that. So be it gaming, be it sports, be it gymnastics, be it art, be it like whatever, you can probably find something that's affordable too. For your child to get into. I was at a program a couple of years. It was a creative writing class. It was like 9 Black kids in a creative writing class, and the woman worked with them to like just write. And they showed up every week, and they released a book. So you can literally find something. You just got to do the work as the parent and the child. You guys knocked it out the park, man. Be yourself. Embrace who you are. Don't hide who you are. As most of you guys know, my son has autism. And one of the biggest things that I admire about my son is, like, he is himself. Like, he's going to be himself, be at home, be it in front of people, be out in front of 100 people. Like, he's going to be him. And I embrace that about him. And I would embrace any child to do that. Like, be you. If you're into this, be into this. Let your parents know that you're into this and do it. And like you said, parents, support them, love them, support them, be there for them. And just watch them the greatness that happens. Gentlemen, I thank you guys for coming on with me. I really, really do thank you guys for coming on. I know I'm a little over on my, actually, I'm a lot of over on my time, but whatever. When a conversation going good, that tends to happen.
Conversation.
So this is my favorite part. I get to let you guys. Well, actually, no. Let me announce my winner of the book. If you guys didn't tune in at the beginning, I said I was giving away a copy of my book, Ready for Relationship, and Laura helped me. I hope that the person who wins lives in Philly, so I could just drive to him. But I know I got people who don't live in the city, so I'm about to scroll through these comments real quick. Scroll through, and don't worry if you don't win one tonight. You got 3 other opportunities this month to win one, and my winner of the book. Don't ask the criteria I'm basing this off of is going to be. Yep, look at that. She done clapped for herself.
My God.
Thank you,
This lady.
You have won the book. I will message you after I get off of live to set up a time to deliver it to you, and give you the book. But you run a copy of my sponsor, A.B. Bracewell's book, Ready for Relationship. It just released at the end of August, so you'll be one of the first to get a chance to read it. So I look forward to delivering this to you. I look forward to giving it to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to the My Brother show.
She's definitely gonna read it.
Right.
She's definitely gonna read it.
So guys, I know you guys all have various things that you're doing. Todd, I'll let you start to go into yours a little bit, Todd. So go ahead and talk about what you got going on.
Okay, I am the owner of Gentleman Bartending. I'm an all-male bartending LLC. I provide private events for male bartenders. Like, I'm a male bartender, and I feel as though male bartenders are discriminated against. So, if you need a male bartender at your location, whatever, we provide it. And any private event or anything that needs to be, we do
I
that.
ain't got nothing going on, brother.
Hey, talk about the things that you could talk about.
I can't talk about that. I'll plug that.
I know what you do at the beginning of the year. You don't want to talk about that?
No.
Okay.
Oh, guitar lessons. I need those.
Hey, he's a guy of many talents, but he's being humble right now, and I'm going to respect his humility. But you can follow him at a.s.9091 if you would like to, be into it, and that's a very good guy. And
oh yes. So yeah, I am Static, or you can, my tag is Static Gorilla. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. That's pretty much. I'm the only Static Gorilla. YouTube as well. At the same time, I also co-host a fighting game podcast. That's right, fighting games. We cover Street Fighter, Marvel, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Dragon Ball Fighters. We cover all of those things. Yeah, and we cover all the news, all the water cooler stuff. I don't want to say the gossip because, all right, the gossip, water cooler talk and things coming down the road, and also information about maybe like a community question thing. We're also on Discord, that's called Double Tap. We go live Monday nights at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock we go live on Monday nights on Twitch, but we also are all over on Spotify and on all other types of podcast platforms you can listen to. I also want to sort of shout outs to my church right now, iLight.tv in the Light Ministries. That's where, I did a lot of the production stuff on COVID time. I'm sort of not like doing all of that, but that's just that's where I go. And right now at the moment, and also shout outs to you guys, to my brother for having us on. I think this is a fun conversation to have. For us nerddom. Also, I had a question real quick. I know we're going over time, but we're not all into wrestling, are we?
I used to be back.
Back in the
I don't know about recent.
We know it's fake, but we enjoy it. We take away our
After Stone Cold, I was done.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
so I just think that was another nerddom thing that we know it's fake, but we enjoy it. It's drama.
my favorite wrestler, Goldust, and I don't care.
Right.
My
What?
favorite
Oh,
wrestler,
Stone
Goldust.
Cold all day. What? Stone Cold would beat Goldust. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
Goldust make you feel like we crazy, man.
See, that's my favorite thing.
Right.
It's the traveling soap opera circus. Whatever.
Right, gentlemen,
Yeah.
it's been real. It's been amazing, guys. Thank you for coming on, Miss Janelle. I will contact you shortly after I go off air to schedule a time to bring you your book. And just thank you guys for coming on. Tune in 2 weeks. September 16th will be my next episode. I'm about to get a little morbid, so I'm sorry to kill the mood, guys. But this month marks the 10-year anniversary of my dad passing away on the 17th of this month. And so to commemorate him, my next episode is going to be on grief, loss, and how we handle those things. So I have an awesome brother who has his own suicide prevention business. He'll be joining me, as well as a few others. But we'll be talking about grief. We'll be talking about loss and how to deal with that in 2 weeks on the 16th. The 17th will be the 10-year anniversary of my dad passing. So I'm looking forward to that episode. It's going to be a heavier episode than this one, but I do think it's a conversation that needs to be had. Because I do think that in our grief and in our depression, we tend to make a lot of poor choices, like permanent poor choices too, like choices that tend to follow us for the rest of our lives. So you'll look forward to that. I'll start advertising that next week. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I have some other amazing things that I'm doing that I have on the horizon. I'm working with the guys that I was online with last episode. We're thinking about some mentoring programs we could start up. So just stay posted, man. I have a lot of amazing things on the horizon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. As always, our goal is to encourage one another, one brother to one brother. And I love that my ladies come out and watch. You guys are amazing. My men, you guys are amazing. Love y'all. I'm out of here. Peace.
Man muscles.
We are